Greetings and welcome to A Keeper of the Prophecies. This is one of my most favorite fan mission campaigns. Means for Thief, and I'm really excited to be doing it. Um, this was this is a enormous 9 mission epic by Ken Ramsley or Frobber. It's very detailed, it has a very involved plot. That the maps are very large and well designed, and there's a lot of interesting effects that are used. Overall, it's pretty impressive. Definitely one of the best fan mission campaigns ever made.
Who's there? Hello?
The Enterprise Part 1. The Enterprise Part 1. Alicia has gone to collect your new eye from the Hammers. Collect the eye from her when she returns. For bad or for worse, these are still your neighbors. Don't kill anyone around here who's not already dead. The Enterprise. The trickster is dead, and you have saved the world. Just as the Keepers had prophesied. But you lost an eye for your trouble. And that promise of 100,000 gold. Such a dreadful reward for a keeper of the prophecies. What if you had another chance? What if great wealth were just around the corner? Could you say yes? Could you say no? Garrett's apartment. Now, if you're wondering who Alicia is from the objectives, it's a woman and that Garrett has a complicated history with and has been seeing for a while. But, well, I don't want to spoil too much. Garrett, if you're sober enough to read this, I'm with Cavador of the Hammerites this evening to retrieve your new eye. This is truly a remarkable device, and for you to despise the Hammers for trying to help you only reveals how extreme your own reclusive and self-destructive tendencies have become. It's a pathetic image to see you clawing around the edges of wealth and rummaging through old wine cellars like this when you could easily have a much better life away from this old village. You are right when you say you don't do relationships. Once I return with your new eye, I will depart as you have demanded. Not without answering one of your arguments. We are the central agents controlling our own destiny, not the Keepers, not some religion, not a father's wealth. Yes, we make mistakes. Troubles come our way, and sometimes we suffer. But if we don't even bother to steer the ship at all, then the winds and eddies of destiny will control us and take us where they may. It's your ship to steer, Garrett. Your life to live, and that's all you have to do. Alicia. Now, notice that Alicia mentioned and Cavador. This is is this is after Thief 1, as the opening text made clear, but before Thief 2. It's sort of an interquel for the two games.
Over here! Help! There's been a murder!
And
Oh, this is not good.
now, unfortunately, that's Alicia. The person who is supposed to give us the eye. Keeper Garrett, by this document I have transferred possession of thy new eye unto Lady Alicia, and must say thou art most fortunate to have such a pleasant subject for thy soon-to-be improved vision. Beest forewarned that this device doth require recalibration from time to time, and also knowest thou that a new remote device will soon appear for thy further inspection. Cavador, assistant to the chief alchemist. No bonus points to anyone who guesses who the chief alchemist is. There are a few things to get out of the way. First of all, we're going to get the equipment. Here's a note that Garrett threw into the fire. Mr. Garrett, your silent refusal is troubling. Have we not made ourselves clear? Have we not offered enough compensation? We wish only to examine the Hammerite mechanical device. Within one business day it will be returned in perfect condition, ready to replace your missing eye. And yet you ignore us. Do not think your association with the Master's daughter will hinder those within our organization who, unlike myself, are not so willing to negotiate. Extremely unpleasant consequences will greet further silence. Pinchington, agent of Solstice Industries. Now, Solstice Industries is also known as the Enterprise, and the chief executive officer and president is called a master. Nothing more to do here. And that's foreshadowing of a later mission. Final eviction notice. Due to thy continuing non-payment of rent, thou shalt depart these premises. If after 1 hour thou shouldst yet again be discovered within this space, thou and thy children shall be forcibly removed and bodily cast into the street. Old Village Properties. So, Garrett really wasn't lying when he said he wasn't lying in the Bone... Was it the Bone Horde? One of the Thief Gold missions. He said his landlord was worse than the Hammers. Apparently, he wasn't kidding. If this part looks familiar, it's the home turf section, copied straight from Assassins. Now through those doors is the entrance to the Enterprise, but there's a secret I want to get first. This drunk guy's named Kevel. He was kicked out of his house by his wife for being sauced. He'll turn up in a later mission. Let's move on. Get that secret I mentioned. Whoa. I thought I'd missed for a second. Okay. There's a rope, flash mine, regular mine, gas mine, speed potions, and moss arrows. Okay. For a second, I thought I was stuck. My dearest Jidifni. Sorry. My dearest Jidifni. Thankfully, the couriers are still delivering our mail. I will bring aid, such as I have collected. But I must be careful. The usual exits from the Enterprise are now closed to us, and I dare not be caught again trying unapproved methods. Forgive me for not coming to you sooner. Please hold out a little longer. Give a kiss to the children. I will come. Your loving husband, Santa Scald. And his family is dead. Apparently.
Betrayal will force you to seal Garrett.
And apparently, that eviction notice was speaking about them, and they pair it. It's just outside the doors to the Enterprise. Celestis Industries, authorized personnel only. Just... to be continued. Right now. The Enterprise Part 2. Find your new eye somewhere inside Celestis Industries. It's the end of the month. Time to stop drinking the profits and pay the bills. Pick up at least 1,500 in loot. You're an artist, not a thug, so don't go killing anyone who's not already dead. Professionals do not wear out their welcome. When you have your new eye and enough loot, leave the area. "8:55 p.m. after a long walk along the ocean. The security alert will remain in effect until further notice." Alright, we're in the Enterprise.
Anybody home?
And here's a guard, who's dead. "Phlegmus, your sloth and lack of vigilance hath brought me before the wrath of Master Celestis. Should it happen again that you are discovered absent from your post, from the very pathway of escape for our master, I shall instruct the lictor to exhaust himself, applying stripes to your worthless carcass. Faustus, Captain of the Guards." Now, I'll minorly spoil all this and say that the reason he's dead is because of this fruit. If you eat it, you'll be damaged. How did this happen? Well, the mission will reveal it eventually. Now, as the note said, this is an escape path for the president of the Enterprise, the Master. Now we'll wait for this creaky elevator to lower. And we'll go up. And another.
I wonder what this guy was guarding.
Seems peaceful enough now.
Another dead guard. just like the other one. And he has a fruit near him. Which, as I said before, the mission will reveal that all of the apples have in fact been poisoned. Sergeant Zasulage, on pain of death, thou shalt protect this lockbox until the master's key hath been found. Faustus, captain of the guards. The only way to open this lock is with the master's key. And the key also unlocks every other lock. It's a master key for the entire compound. Finding that key is our objective now. As it says here, the master's key has got to be useful. Find it. Now this note has a ring beside it. My dear Celestus, 'tis very likely a wasted effort on my part to write like this. I should merely depart without a word, but unlike you, I have some sense of decency toward other humans, even toward such a heartless and cruel example such as yourself. Do not have your thugs search for me, for I will have traveled to a place unknown even by you, and there I will make a new life, where men do not murder their own children out of fear that their heirs may lay claim to an early inheritance. May you replace me with a woman who knows how to hurt you as much as you have hurt me.
Now that's what I call a stormy romance.
Who's there? Hello? That's...
Things to do. Remove Hastus and Remus for sloth and treachery. Done. Transfer slackers to test chamber duty. Fill hellholes with malcontents. Hire more hammer-trained alchemists. Find a first-rate lictor for the night shift. Have guards flogged for pool desecration. Increase funding for Project Vision. Obtain the Hammerite Eye by any means. Alicia, where is she? Finish transfer of ownership contract. See Dr. Grindius for about numbness in legs. So if these notes haven't made it clear, someone at the Enterprise he's had something to do with Alicia's murder. Maybe even her own father. But given that the culture at the Enterprise is pretty cutthroat and backstabbing, it could be anyone. Master Celestus, as you can see for yourself, I have succeeded this very evening in my efforts to procure a working sample of the Hammerite Eye. And as you instructed, I am hand-delivering this device here to your chambers. I will also leave you with the windfall of a certain handwritten journal that you may find of particular interest. As far as I am concerned, this journal does not exist. A.H. Frantitius, Esquire. Day 1. If there is a Garrett living in our town, he must be a ghost. No one has heard of him. For 3 days I've investigated the local inns, taverns, and those places of lesser repute, and the name generates little more than a blank stare. My father remains convinced that this Garrett somehow does exist, but I am starting to harbor my own doubts. Day 2. As requested this morning, I spoke with my father's closest advisor, the pompous, blustery, and overly ambitious Counselor Frantitius, who has offered the full extent of his resources to aid in my search for Garrett. Although I would prefer to work independently, I cannot keep my father waiting. The boundary within my family between those of his children he considers a resource and those he considers a danger is very thin indeed, and if working with Frantitius can preserve my interests and my life, then I will work with him. Later today, I have learned that Counselor Frantitius has made arrangements with a local private investigator, a Mr. Pinchenden. My oh my, such a small world. Pinchenden is an old associate of mine, an employee that actually until I caught him spying on me. To be entirely candid, I always preferred Pinchenden's written reports to his less than enchanting personal company, but his investigations are thorough, and if this Garrett does exist, I will find him sooner this way. I just wish I didn't need any help from Pinchenden, or from Frantitius for that matter. Day 10. Even the best investigators can have their troubles. Garrett does exist, it seems, but his exact whereabouts are still unknown, after more than a week of scouring. At least I'm not chasing a ghost any longer. According to Frantitius, Pinchenden claims that Garrett lives somewhere in the Old Village section of town, but Frantitius was reluctant to supply this information to me, and I'm beginning to suspect he may have his own reasons for wanting to locate Garrett. Day 13. Apparently this Garrett has been away from the Old Village for some time, and according to one last scrap of information from Frantitius, he has been injured in some unspecified way. So I paid a visit to Dr. Grindius, and his assistant tells me just yesterday, Garrett sought treatment having lost his right eye in battle. How disgusting. Citing client Dr. Privilege, the doctor himself refused to supply details, but at least I'm making my own discoveries again. Day 15. Progress. A one-eyed man is easier to locate than one with both eyes. With that description in hand, I spoke with the local landlord who owns most of the Old Village, a particularly imposing character, I might add. With some careful persuasion, I learned from him that Garrett rents out one of his apartments, and it can be found at the end of an alley where the river disappears underground. This is actually quite close to the south entrance of the Enterprise, so it seems that Garrett has been living nearly under our feet. Day 21. Now that I know where Garrett lives, I no longer need Pinchenden. Instead, I've set up my own watch, and thus far, Garrett has only left the apartment once, again to visit Dr. Grindius, just last evening. Afterwards, he vanished for the night, returning home in the early morning hours. My men attempted to follow him, but that was an impossible task. Perhaps he really is a ghost. We have watched now for nearly a week, and this cat-and-mouse approach is becoming dangerously tedious. Father is an impatient man, and I must have some answers soon. Day 23. Today my men helped create a disturbance in the alley below Garrett's windows, hoping to draw his attention. Acting as though I were being attacked, we yelled and made all sorts of sword-claying, until suddenly the street was awash with unconscious men, with only Garrett now standing over me, waving his blackjack. As I thanked him for my rescue, a strange expression began to form on his face. What rescue? I was just trying to get some sleep. I laughed, then realized he was being serious. Pretending to have strained my ankle, I managed to gain access to Garrett's apartment. He was wary and uncertain about this at first, but there seems to be a decent part of him that genuinely wants to help, so he allowed me to sit by his fireplace into the evening. Later Garrett left, allowing me to stay here for the night. And now in the morning he has returned with valuables clearly stolen from some nobility. No wonder he wishes to remain anonymous. Day 25. I am now guessing that Garrett lost his eye in the service of the Hammerites, since he continues to receive multiple invitations from them, offering a mechanical replacement. But he rebuffs these offers, saying not only how he's had enough of them, despite messengers like the one this morning. Before Garrett rebuffed today's visitor, I was able to listen at the open window to a description of how this eye will not just fill the space, but actually replace Garrett's very own vision. Such a creation. Then the messenger spoke of how the Hammerites may soon withdraw their offer. Day 26. To understand more about this eye, I met with an old connection I have among the Hammers, Brother Cavador, who has been the assistant to several of their chief alchemists. From Cavador I learned that his newest master, a bookish counterphobic, who has childishly begun to show his umbrage at Garrett's silence by hurling threats he dare not consummate. How such an unstable character could ever ascend to chief alchemist of the Hammerites is a mystery, almost as great as why Garrett lives the way he does, inviting all sorts of trouble and creating unnecessary enemies. Day 27. I see now that Pinchenden's involvement was a mistake. Evidently he's been hired by others to learn about this eye himself, and if possible, obtain his own copy. However, there is only one working copy, and that is promised to Garrett, so Pinchenden has begun delivering a growing mixture of threats and promises to Garrett. Its doorstep to acquire this eye under the pretense of borrowing it for study. Garrett's opinion of these Threatening notes? Fine kindling. Today I will attempt some answers for my father. If I can work out a useful analysis in this journal, then perhaps I will send him something. What does Garrett want the most? He says he wants wealth, but it appears he mainly wishes to live without the need to work, if one can call his occupation work. And that sounds more like the desire for a comfortable retirement, not control over the instruments of power. Garrett does not seem to understand how wealth at its core is not freedom from responsibility, but rather the total domination of others. And in this regard he barely shows the personality of power that must always accompany the genuinely rich. As much as he might claim otherwise, he would make a poor rich man. He wants freedom, not wealth. How did he really lose his eye? Garrett is willing to let me believe whatever I want on this topic, and seems more than happy with my theory that it was during his service to the Hammerites, making fun of the whole situation as though it were a great joke being played on him. But it's fairly obvious that his attempts at humor cover the truth and pain of it all. Sometimes Garrett hides his face and cries out in his sleep with the name Victoria. How could a woman have been so involved in a battle injury? Yet another mystery he will not explain. Day 29. Now I have had enough of this eye. Pinchinen's threats grow. The Hammerites are becoming dangerously annoyed, and Garrett wanders half-blind for no good reason at all. I sent word to Cavador to see if his master will release the eye to me, and have received an invitation to visit them tonight for this purpose. Once I deliver the eye to Garrett, I will end my mission. It's become increasingly taxing to maintain appearances, while Garrett strongly suspects my motives at every turn. If only he understood my true motives. Now for that final question. Yes, it does appear that Garrett was once associated with the secret order of the Keepers, and this may explain his education in the affairs of the world, but he never openly admits to having been a member, and reviles any mention of them, seeing the Keepers as more prison wardens than friends. I have asked Garrett if I might ever find these Keepers to see how they live and learn from them myself. With a laugh he told me, not unless you can float through walls. How disappointing. Over the years I've spent many days in libraries, and spoken with the old and wise of this town, and I've heard that these Keepers are quite a group. They walk amongst us unseen, or unseen as much as they wish. They walk among us unseen, or seen, or unseen as much as they wish, and they possess in their own libraries all that has ever been learned. How did the Keepers gain so much hidden wisdom? What is the source of their great knowledge and power? I certainly want to know this, even if Garrett does not. Some of them are prophets, it is said, and every prophet must have an oracle. This is the end of my journal. Alas, I will fill no great libraries with my own books. The effort to record and organize events is of great value, but I must always burn these books in the end, lest my true thoughts and feelings fall into my father's hands. Perhaps Garrett will not complain if I bring a little extra kindling tonight once I have returned from my meeting with Cavador. There are a lot of guards here. Luckily, there's enough shadow and room, and that it isn't too big of a problem. Faustus, captain of the guards. Thou art undone, thou bastard fool Faustus, for in mine own possession I have the master's very own key, a key thou didst not hide with great care. Whence it be discovered how this key is lost, methinks thou shouldst consider a portion of the poisoned fruit for thine own mouth, lest the master find it babbling excuses, whilst he taketh unending pains to have thee flayed alive for thy latest and greatest of follies. Captain Faustus, I'm just a man, not a god, who decides who lives and who dies. Please reconsider your order if there's any decency left in your soul. Uncius, chief cook. There was the detail that I spoiled before about the poisoned fruit.
Hey, what was that? I don't see anything now.
All guards are to report for duty immediately. This is not a drill. I believe this leads to the reception room. Celestis Industries front desk log. Day 3 under the owl moon. Guests must write the following: name, title, if any, organization, arrival time, who you plan to visit, reason for visit, departure time, sign out when leaving. Employees must state name and job title, departure time, planned whereabouts, reason for off-campus visit, expected time of return. Sign again upon returning. Non-exempt employees must seek written permission, properly signed and sealed to exit the building. I am Pavlev Storm, Viceroy to Forsythius the Just. If I must sign this book, let it be known that I have arrived upon this mountain 4 minutes after the 8th hour, if one is to believe that decrepit old clock. And I have come once again to see your master regarding your yet more poor examples of poor workmanship and overdue deliveries. I now depart with little satisfaction, I might add, half past the 9th hour. Balboas, construction chief, departing at the 8th hour plus 44 minutes to obtain promises in town for the delivery of additional framing beams in support of freight lift construction. I expect to return at or soon after the noon hour. Until then, questions should be directed at Goth in the workshop or Stannis, who may be in the auditorium checking on a cold draft. I've returned 15 minutes past the noon hour. Seems I have a job seeker awaiting for me. Good thing. Been losing too many good men over the walls lately. Arlen, wife of the master, departing half past the 9th hour under the protection of Pavlev Storm, Viceroy to Forsythius the Just, for private business in the city lasting a week or perhaps a little more. I have no exact plans, so none should worry if I'm delayed by several days. Frantitius, Chief Counsel for the Enterprise. It is now the 11th hour, shy 6 minutes by this clock. I have business in town and shall spend the balance of the day there. My plans are to return briefly tonight, then away again for several days thereafter. As promised, I have returned to this evening, and am now departing again. For the next 3 days, you may find me during normal business hours at my offices, near the town square for matters that cannot wait. Smithson is my name. I be a carpenter to see Mr. Balboas. I hear there be jobs for scaffolding framers up there. The desk lady says he ain't back yet, and I gotta wait till noon and for him to come back. Suppose I just gotta wait. Could
could use steady work. Ain't seen nothing since the cathedral finish up. Which is why them 30 hammers gotta have a place the size of this here mountain don't make no sense to me. It was good work while it lasted, except for all the preaching and mumbling. Mr. Balboa's come back and give me a job. Says to sign this here log, 'cause I ain't gonna leave, and I gotta sign here so's nobody thinks I don't belong and go looking. It'd be 20 past noon, and I'd be staying a while.
Mortekiel, apprentice lictor. At the 14th hour, save 10 minutes. I depart to attend additional training in my perfection of my art, the descriptions of which need not stain these pages. I will return tomorrow.
Brink is here, sales representative for Old Village Swordsmiths, to see Captain Faustus regarding no-rust daggers, ours being of special metal alloy, requiring far less oiling and therefore a lower maintenance cost. Please excuse my appearance. The ill-tempered wizard solicited last night objected to my visit in a most peculiar way. I do hope this wears off soon. It is such an embarrassment to bear one's portfolio and prop one's hat while hopping to my customers as an overgrown frog. Arrived 20 minutes after the 14th hour, departing at 7 minutes past the 15th hour, having shown my wares to unknown effect.
Messenger from Pension and Security Services to deliver a small parcel for Captain Faustus and receive a written message in return. Arrived and departed at the 16th hour and 1/4. Squintus, acting treasurer. It is the 17th hour, and I depart from my residence in the Old Village. I shall return tomorrow at my customary time. Yolandus, Chief Alchemist, Iron Maiden Division. It is now the 18th hour, save 15. Leaving unplanned upon news of urgent matters. I shall return tomorrow as soon as the gates are open.
Now it's time for my log entry.
You can't guard everything, Faustus. Long ago, the elegant woman who sits behind this desk to polish her lengthening nails has left for the day. A mistress of the master, she never needs to sign this logbook herself and may come and go as she pleases, whereas I am not allowed to depart this mountain at all. Signature or no signature, nevertheless I am escaping tonight, never to return unless among an army of those bearing flaming torches to put an end to this evil nightmare. To those who may wish to live, beware of foolish plans, deadly fruit, and enraged slaves. And that's it. Now there's Faustus' office again. The master's key has been stolen. All watch staff will remain on duty until it is recovered. Just go unlock a door back to that plaza with the pool. And we're back at the meeting room. Turn this on. Squintus, Chief Financial Officer, acting. Treasurer Squintus, perhaps you would not be so lax in your funding if you were required to work as I in an office located in the midst of alchemists whose ideas of high art include impaling poor souls until they confess what they do not know. Yes, I do hear your position regarding out-of-budget funding, and how this incited the recent gruesome demise of your predecessor. However, I must insist nonetheless that Project Vision have centralized facilities where I may properly fulfill my duties, lest you too are blamed for our delay. Inticus, Chief Alchemist, Project Vision. Treasurer Squintus, we are compelled to observe a severe injustice. Our division's attempt to produce working assemblies while Project Vision drains away the money we need for materials and replacement slaves. We are late because you are withholding these funds. This morning, our production supervisors, Hastus and Remus, were taken away to floggings and other horrors. And we will be next if matters do not improve immediately. You must restore our funding at once. Yolandis, Chief Alchemist, Iron Maiden Division. Corvallis, Chief Alchemist, Electrics Division. Yeah, if these notes haven't clued you in yet, that this isn't a nice corporation or enterprise. They make weapons and torture devices, among other things. Oh, and they use slave labor, too. In case what I already said didn't get the point across. Frantitius, Chief Counsel.
Hello? Is someone there?
My dear Frantitius, to answer your request, yes. We can most definitely untangle you from the demands of your master regarding the procurement of a certain optical item of Hammerite design. Given how your project vision has thus far failed to invent anything of the sort, perhaps this will accelerate your research efforts, so long as that fool of yours, Inticus, can stop boasting of his previous work long enough to actually study this object. And yes, I do find it odd how your master wishes to take possession of the eye himself, but then he is the owner of all things on his mountain, so you must do what will satisfy him. If you do decide to utilize our services, we can be available at a moment's notice. Respectfully yours, Pinchenden, Chief Investigator, Investment Acquisitions. This is a hint that Frantitius, as part of that Frantitius had was at least thinking of hiring in Pinchenden in to get the eye and have Alicia eliminated. Maybe. Frantitius, although we risk arousing nothing more than suspicions by leaving this parchment unsigned, nevertheless we feel compelled to write in the hope that you can be persuaded to act. Perhaps you have not seen how Master Celestus spends many days within his sub-chambers, and in those rare moments when he does emerge, perhaps you also have not noticed how his mind is increasingly twisted with rage. But you could not possibly have missed the sound this week of 17 floggings with the long whip. How much longer will it be before every employee and slave of the Enterprise has been likewise bound to the post at the command of the Master? May the Builder have mercy on us. You are closest to Celestus, and so you are best positioned to remove him by the most direct means possible. For even you, his closest advisor, can no longer expect to escape his reign of terror. These turn off the light. This turns off the lights, and this... Yeah, both those switches turn off the lights. I'm doing well on the loot. Let's keep going. So this enterprise is very powerful. It has a lot of pull and a lot of armed and many armed guards. One might compare it to what am I looking for? One of the one of the East India companies. That's it. In terms of influence, it clearly the Enterprise clearly has pull in city politics. And yeah, I think I said that already.
Something there.
What's that? Who goes?
Alright. Let's proceed into the bowels of this building. See what we find.
Look, was anything?
This is another of those doors that has a switch on the other side. We'll be coming back to it later. I am testing, and I am of course means Iron Maiden. 1. Verify subject dimensions. 2. Restrain subject per procedure 11. 13. Insert subject per procedure 12. 4. Close lid per procedure 13. 5. Record events that follow. Note, due to the scarcity of testing volunteers, only high-priority design changes are to be evaluated on living subjects. Seek out Captain Faustus to determine the availability of test subjects and cadavers.
You gotta be kidding me.
Nope, they're not kidding. They're quite bald-facedly serious. To test chamber staff. I had an occasion recently to pass this way and did note the unpleasant stench of rotting flesh wafting into my delicate nostrils. Perhaps I am oversensitive in this regard, given how I do not oversee such matters, but for the sake of those like myself who are not as accustomed to such experimental results, may I request that you make use of the new disposal tunnels to remove expired test subjects in a more timely manner? Inticus, Chief Alchemist, Project Vision. Test procedure, Electrics 2, Beta 1. And 1. Insert test subject. 2. Increase voltage until audible response. 3. Remind subject information limits discomfort. 4. Compile and tabulate confessed information. 5. Repeat test until subject offers nothing new. Note, due to the scarcity of test subjects, the final stages of testing will be postponed until production units are fully operational. Corballis, Chief Alchemist, Electrics Division. We'll be going down that hatch I just opened, and in a little bit. For now, we'll open that, and it gets us back onto that pathway. This'll take... Oh. No, that's a dead end. That door can only be opened from the other side. Oh, I'm in danger of going in a circle. Let's go back upstairs in the pool room. Now, just as a bit of a goof, or whatever, I'm gonna climb onto the roof and then swan dive into the pool. A note lying somewhere around here has has a Enterprise official complaining that someone swan dived from the rooftops and into the pool and broke their neck when they slammed into the bottom of the pool. That's what something I read earlier mentioned. The desecration of the pool. That's what it said, I believe.
Sir? Was that you?
What was that noise?
All right, you're in.
These guys in green are the paramilitary force of the Enterprise, but they also serve as bodyguards to Frantitius, the chief counsel of the Enterprise. We'll be seeing them in a few other missions. The dimensions of this mission are pretty impressive, even today. At the time, it was quite taxing. I remember this being quite taxing on my computer back when I originally played it for the first time. Oh boy, that was a close one. Okay, I think this is a dead end. Best go back. Whoa. I believe this around here is the one of the freight elevators. Notice, until repairs to this lift have been completed, the transport of cargo will be handled on the North Freight lift. Due to the poor condition of that lift, all cargo weighing less than 25 stone will be roped by hand from the overlook near the north lift. Food should be hauled up from the beam overlooking the cliffside caves, since this is nearer to the cafeteria. So ordered, Balboa's construction chief. get that door open, we need to hit the button. And we're going to use Moss Arrow. And we're in. I believe this is the guards' quarters.
Someone making noise?
We're inside one of the bays. Alright. Okay. There's nothing in there. These are offices. Let's shut that off. Corballis, Chief Alchemist, Electrics Division.
Huh? Anybody there?
Corballis, the gravest news warranting our immediate attention hath befallen me. In your hands I place a key to my safe, wherein you will learn more of this intrigue. Although the stench of our loathsome Project Vision leader encourages me to ignore him in this matter, I feel that we must bring Anticus aboard, and thus hath I given him a key also, planned to confer as soon as I arrive on the morn. Now is no time for our feuds. Yolandis. So we pick up Yolandis' key. And now I believe that's Balboa's talking to his new hiree.
Gentlemen, the Master has requested that we provide arguments on the topic of how electrical devices are the better choice over methods currently installed in many customer locations. It is important that these arguments do not undermine the sales of our other designs, especially IM. I will hear your ideas in the morning. Corballis.
What's that?
And this guy, was writing something, even though he was, before he fell asleep. Sleeping on the job, Department Policy 1.1.2.17, Revision C. This policy has been defined in order to establish uniformity in the proper application of staff discipline when a member is discovered asleep at his workstation or desk. In accordance with the instructions from the Master, the duration and extent of punishments will be determined by him alone. Sleep is defined as the inability to... Let's put these guys in a darker spot. Usually I just leave them there, but I'm trying to be a little less lazy than usual. Last notebook of Tinkerus, Design Artisan, Electrics Division, a lab book. A new lab book. Oh, how I fill these so quickly. Rubbish, though. Technical drivel. All of it. I would write poetry, yet, fair master, if you ever saw these books used for poetry writing, you would doubtless add this to your ever-growing list of offenses deserving the lash. And what have I just written? Would cost many more lashes than merely wasting your paper. Is not resistance to your will the highest crime on this hill? I will not see your whipping post again, for I am leaving, and now I may waste whatever paper I wish. 10 of your empty books I take, and
and only this book I leave behind, spoiled by my insolent ink. O fair master, let me set the facts before you. Your workers flee, and those who remain steal for clear reasons. That whipping post, and not enough for us to eat. Those spikes and electric prods, and our dying families in town begging for a crust of bread. We are leaving, fair master, and we are taking our talent, and whatever else isn't nailed down with us. Certainly, the desperate and the sick will fill our places for a time. In a world where the goal of the rich is to pay below a living wage, there will always be those starving enough to eat the crumbs from your table. But your time is coming to a close. For there are also many more, who would gladly take a torch to this place and reduce your world to cinders, without another thought, even if it meant starving for certain. And now I will leave you one last spoiled page. There once was a Master Celestus whose goal was unending injustice. He flogged us at will, and some did he kill, and yet died a poor pauper without us.
What's that up there?
Villainous. With the recurring failures of city power grid, we're compelled to learn more about estate-sized electrical generating machines in order to recommend reliable versions of the smaller machines to our customers. Therefore, during the next 3 weeks, I wish for you to research flaws in the design of various power equipment elements, starting with the components delivered today. Although I would prefer to have you working on the core design, the entirety of our business success boils down to reliable electricity. Corvallis.
Someone behind me? What did I see there?
Seems
Happy employees. We are happy. Yes, that is true. And we are most happy when we obey the will of our master. Happy employees trust those above and only ask questions to gain a better understanding. Happy employees watch and listen, and report disloyalty whenever observed or overheard. Obey and be happy. Watch and listen, because remember, wrong thinking will be punished, but right thinking will be just as quickly rewarded.
Production Overseer Hastus, thy production efforts remain overdue whilst our customers complain bitterly. Thy previous explanations being false, and thy promises for haste proven lies, Captain Faustus will now escort thee unto thy punishments. Perhaps a lingering experience in the days and weeks ahead may better reveal my feelings in this matter, and thy moanings in the night serve as a warning to those who would stand against my will. Ustensilus Celestus, Second Lord of the Enterprise.
Hastus, may the builder save thee. This very hour I did overhear Captain Faustus taking great pleasure upon hearing his orders to translate thy bodily measurements into a machine of thine own undoing. Now is the time to depart, if thou knowest a way of escape from this mountain, for soon the guards will come with instructions to drag thee away into horrors unspeakable. Hostile workplace doesn't even begin to cover it. Oh. Seekest thou Yolandus?
to schedule thine use of the auditorium. Alright, 12:20. We're getting there on the loot. Now, I believe, yes, this is the cafeteria. And it's drab as everything else in this building.
Who's there?
Now here's, I believe his name was Stannis. Yes, Stannis. I'm besieged by the upper crust whose habit is to seat their posteriors in the auditorium for a moment of quiet contemplation. As you are currently assigned to urgent repairs of the freight lifts, I would prefer to ignore the frozen buttocks of senior management. Yet, for the sake of appeasement, could you please spare a moment to investigate the space above the seating area? Apparently one of them has detected a vaguely discernible cold draft leaking from the open ceiling. Your immediate attention will be appreciated. Balboa's construction chief. I believe this is the cook's office. Chief Cook Uncius, as we have discussed, you will provide me with fresh fruit this eve, whereupon I will return them to you, and you will store this fruit among the other food in such a way that only you are aware of what is normal fruit, and what has been poisoned. The morning thereafter, you will return to me all poisoned fruit not yet stolen, and in the same fashion, the following eve, we will repeat this procedure until the food thievery ends. So ordered, Faustus, Captain of the Guards.
Faustus, you are one sick bastard. No wonder people are dropping like flies around here.
Reward to the employee who finds the master's key, 5 days furlough, and 10 free meals. Yeah, I'll put him over there. That makes more sense.
Help me!
This is Anticus, the chief alchemist of Project Vision, which is noticeably lackluster in having any results. Yet the master never seems to punish him for his failures. And this is the Enterprise's handbook. Celestis Industries and you. First of all, welcome aboard.
As one of the reliable employers of the Third Kingdom, we hope that your employment in Celestis Industries will be enjoyable and long-lasting. Whether you are a recent arrival to the coastal region or a longtime resident of the Old Village, you should find this booklet helpful in your quest to become acquainted with our history, culture, and current operations. Our history in brief. As you may well know, with the crowning of Forsythius the Just and the end of the Wars of Peace, our coastal region no longer experiences the raids we once suffered at the hands of the eastern barbarians. Yet the hard-won peace was both an opportunity and a challenge. With our information systems now in lesser demand locally, we faced a critical need to expand operations internationally. Fortunately, recent instability in the new eastern territories has more than compensated for the reductions in local sales. Our products. Today we offer information extraction devices, or IEDs, of the highest caliber, yielding an unprecedented 97% total information extraction ratio, or TIR, the measure of information compared to that which can be extracted under normal circumstances. As an employee of Celestis Industries, you can be proud to know that our products serve the entire kingdom by supplying local and national authorities with the means to root out all harm that might otherwise befall us. Frequently asked questions regarding our master. Who is Master Celestis, and when did he arrive? The master's full name is Ustensilis Celestis, second lord of the Enterprise, and as you might expect, there was a first lord and founder, so naturally, our current master is the second lord. The exact date and circumstances of his ascension are known only by the master himself. From which noble lineage does the master originate? Contrary to popular myths, Master Celestis is not of the nobility at all, and is in fact quite proud of his humble roots in the Old Village. Abandoned as a young child, and having to make his own way in the world, the master has since risen to the pinnacle of private power, entirely by his own will, an achievement that no doubt ranks far above those born into automatic privilege. It is widely understood that the master is quite elderly. Does he plan to step aside any time soon? As of this moment, the master has yet to announce anything regarding his future intentions, so unless we are directed otherwise, we would be most obedient servants to avoid this topic in any and all public or private forums. Oh.
Oh, well. Don't know what it was.
Okay, turned around.
Someone making noise?
Okay, we have got one of those doors opened. Ah. I didn't actually reload because I was having any problems with the guy. It's because I didn't want him to alert Faustus. Yeah, the captain's nearby. Disturb me not until our master's key hath been found, Faustus.
Who goes?
And that was him. I just knocked out Faustus. Empty vial. And here he was treating an apple with poison. Faustus, thou fool, hast thou lost thy mind? Catching a food thief mattereth not a whit, when our viable product designs doth walk out the door, and our slaves escape daily over the walls. How many worthy ideas and useful hands must we lose to the competition before thou understandest thy primary duty? Desist in this madness regarding our poison fruit, lest we all die in the clutches of thy infectious stupidity. Frantitius, chief counsel to the master. Assembly instructions. Spikes. 1. Hold spike. 2. Insert into hole in casing. 3. Fasten spike with supplied hardware. 4. Repeat for all spikes. Transcribing measurements. 1. Strap subject to measurement table. 2. Measure from the following markers: A to B, B to C, A to D, and C to A. Locate reference point in machine and metal scribe measurements as recorded. Factory reconditioning of IM. 1. Remove remnants of previous occupant. 2. Remove spikes and sharpen. 3. Oil hinges. 4. Adjust latches. 5. Drill new spike holes as specified. 6. Assemble spikes into proper holes. 7. Fill unused holes with black pitch. 8. Visually inspect.
Look there! He's armed!
And you'll just go there. Iron Maiden Division. Okay, and
Identified.
that's Corballis, the alchemist of the chief alchemist of the Electrics Division. Mr. Corballis, forgive me for writing rather than speaking in person. I'm simply too upset to utter a single word of this aloud. Whilst just now occupied in the West Privy, I was alarmed to overhear arguments regarding methods for setting this building alight with torches for the purpose of murder. Upon leaving the privy, I was then observed by 2 poorly dressed workers in the immediate hallway, who regarded me with the utmost contempt and malice. So I believe that their threatening speech was genuine, and now I fear for my life. I await your instructions. Wilton, apprenticed alchemist. It's pretty bright in here, but I'll just use this wall to... Oh, never mind. Yolandis, I have puzzled for nearly 2 days in this office, and every argument I can imagine for how IM should be the preferred information extraction method is full of holes. A process which affects the test subject so immediately and savagely is much better suited for execution than for information extraction, and so I'm at a loss here to give you a proper answer. Well, perhaps if...
Look there! He's armed!
Got him. This guy, Mazaris, I think his name is, was busy doing nothing in particular except counting money. And we want that money. Yeah, there it is. Almost got the loot goal. Mazaris, it is said that you would count imaginary coins if that were all you had left, so allow me to say that you will find yourself counting in the dungeons if if this waste of time continues. Inticus. Yolanda's Chief Alchemist Iron Maiden Division. We'll use Yolanda's key on his safe. We got the auditorium key, a health potion, and some coins. And we got the loot goal. Corballis and Anticus, in the moment of my urgent departure, I was suddenly informed of ominous news from our chief counsel, who whispers how the master hath gone completely mad, having drafted a contract to give over the whole of the enterprise to a complete idiot. The master's decrepitude and deterioration is now complete, and though Frantitius did not say so directly, it is clear the old man must be instantly deposed before this insanity is brought to pass. Upon my return tomorrow, we must act quickly. Oh, we get his ring.
What's that?
The Iron Maiden 3. Not your ordinary information machine, tested, refined, and built by dedicated artisans, committed to the security of your growing estate. Probe for evildoers within your housing and watch staffs. Discover timely information without the delay of less direct methods. Sleep safely and peacefully, knowing that plotters are properly contained. The Iron Maiden 3, it's all about you. Inticus, Chief Alchemist Project Vision. Inticus, moments before my departure this eve, learnt I the gravest news warranting our immediate attention, having left the mountain on urgent matters, and nonetheless provide facts of the matter in my safe, a key to which I give you here. Please confer with Corvallis as soon as you see him, and I will meet with you as soon as I arrive in the morn. Okay. Career opportunities. Life testing artisans must have extensive recent experience in the operation of knowledge extraction devices. Proven skills at lengthening the period when useful information is most available. Good writing and transcription skills are required. No family men. 67 per month. Apply to Yolanda's Chief Alchemist Iron Maiden Division. Guards. Hammer trained preferred. Need not be practicing Hammerites. Sword and bow provided 1 meal a day. Bunk and shared footlocker. 13.5 a month. Apply in person to Faustus, captain of the guards. Assembly artisans must have at least 7 fingers, both eyes, and 1 working eye. 7.25 a month.
Maybe I should apply.
Amnesty. To the key thief upon the voluntary return of the master's key. A mere 5 days without food and only 50 lashes. Wow, that's such a generous offer. Since you put it like that, I'm surprised why he hasn't turned himself in. Alright, the auditorium is unlocked. Goth, it is time. Faustus must be in trouble by now, but we cannot wait for the good news of his destruction. I took a dozen mines from his office and placed some in the upper freight lift service tunnels, so watch carefully and walk to the opposite side whenever you can see one. The mines are jammed and cannot be disarmed. These precautions should give us time to descend the cliff sides. Don't bring any apples. Faustus had them poisoned. Bring more rope, though. S. So there are mines in the tunnels connected to the auditorium, and I'm throwing that away. That's where we need to go. For a key object in this mission. But for now, there are a few more things I want to explore. Oh boy, he almost saw me. daggers.
Who's noising about then?
I could knock them out, but they've taken long enough. I'll just satisfy myself with hiding these two guys in a side room. Or something. Ah, perfect. Ugh.
What's that? Who goes? Don't worry, I'll fight you.
Alright. Hit this switch. It'll restore power to the northern freight lift.
I can't hear it anymore.
My dearest Santa Scald, I hope and pray constantly that there be a goodly reason for your delay, that no illness or worse has befallen you for your sake and ours. The children and I eat very little now, and our nights are cold since the supplies you brought were exhausted. All is gone. There is no money left, and again the landlord threatens to hurl us into the street. Please, if you read this, come soon, or at least send word, lest we perish from fear as much as from cold and starvation. Jediphne and the children. And those were, yeah, that was the family. That was the, she was the woman with the two children who was dead in front of the doors to the Enterprise. My dearest Jediphne, I finally have enough money for food, but I'm delayed by events. Until recently, we would make an urgent excuse to leave the mountain for the day, but with so few returning, none among the upper crust will risk the required written permissions any longer. And when I attempted a forgery of the proper papers, I was caught and flogged severely. Now, the only way of escape is over the cliffsides with ropes. I could never entrust this to the couriers. Not so secret anymore. Alright, I think I've wasted enough time. Let's go to the auditorium and check out those service tunnels. Perhaps it will lead us to the key, the Master's key. let's go. Okay. Now we're above the auditorium. There's a rope arrow, and gotta be careful of mines. Danger. Proceed no further. Off limits. You have been warned. Ah. You can and sneak around them, but I just always shoot them. There's another. That's a long way down. Oh, there's another one. And another one. And another one. Still alive? Not for long. That creaking was the sound of the freight elevator. Now getting down there can be tricky because the water, I believe, is deep enough, but if I hit one of those boxes, I'll be killed by physics damage. Ugh, I made it that way. Come any nearer and you'll end up like him. I didn't actually use the lift, even though I powered it up, but that if you try to jump on it as it's lowering, the entire thing will collapse, and I think it'll kill you. Come up for some air. Now this scaffolding, we gotta climb it. That's the way to the goal.
Let's not try that again.
Yeah. Santa Skull. Yet another of our crew was dragged away this morning to the whipping post for sleeping at his workbench. For such a trivial offense, the crying and whimpering and begging of a grown man is an outrage. But your vengeance upon Faustus will not stop the floggings. Faustus takes orders from the master, and unless you can convince the master himself, then nothing will change. My advice, quietly return the master's key and go home. rescue your family from starvation. That will be an adventure far more worthy than making your revenge on Faustus. G. And there's Santa Scald. That box has the key, but first let's read his last note. I am Santa Scald of the Old Village. As I write this, I should have hoped by now that Faustus would be flogged senseless for losing the Master's key, which I have stolen. And by now I should have also paused for a moment to rejoice and then left this wretched mountain forever. But I cannot rejoice or depart. For had I not lengthened my stay upon this hill to exact retribution upon Faustus, I would have long ago returned to rescue my family soon enough, but I stayed away far too long. Instead of rescue this very eve, I have learned how my sick and starving and homeless family did perish at the feet of the village gates, waiting my promised return. So I take this fruit myself, not as a hapless victim in the grasp of a dark plan to poison men like rats, but as a fool, as deeply foolish as the man I have hated since the day he had me flogged. May the builder construct a proper and fitting punishment for my soul.
I've had enough of this.
Fortunately, there's no more need for key hunting since the Master's key unlocks everything. Now all we need to do is get the eye and get out of here. However, there is one more thing I want to show off. There's a section of the... There's a, what was I going to say? Oh. You can access a hidden part of the... Oh. Looks like picking up that key... Looks like there are more guards covering the patrols.
Something there. Just the wind, I guess. Hey.
Hide him here. I'll unlock that lock on the desk next to Zasulage. I think that's what his name was. Yeah, Zasulage. That opens a secret compartment on the other side of the door. But I'm not going there yet. There's one more piece of the level. Well, that shows that the Enterprise isn't just amoral and corrupt. Well, immoral and corrupt, but also just as nasty as anyone else in the city. I kind of lost my train of thought there. And I'm lost. In any case, I wanted to show off. It isn't technically hidden. I don't think it counts as a secret, but I think it's interesting enough to show off. Now, if you'll remember, they mentioned lifting, because one of the freight lifts was busted. They were lifting in small amounts of cargo using ropes and a beam behind the cafeteria. So we're going to find that beam and see what's down there. Here's the other freight lift. Urgent notice. Our freight lift situation is as follows. Repairs to the south lift are delayed and this north freight lift is ready to collapse. Therefore, until further notice, all dock items weighing less than 25 stone will be roped by hand from the overlook before you or from the beam overlooking the caves beyond the cafeteria. To prevent frivolous usage, power to the switch will be controlled from the west guard tower. So ordered, Balboa's construction chief. Anyway. I think if you do stay on it too long, it will collapse beneath you.
Ah, a back door.
Yeah, an alternate way in there, and stay away from the fan. It'll damage you. Actually, I don't need to go to the cafeteria. There's another way I can get to where I'm wanting to go. Wanted dead or alive, the wretched soul and thief of the Master's key.
Just how many guards do they have in this place?
Now this is the torture chamber, or cells, whatever you want to call it. It's a hellhole. For consorting with the Master's mistress, castration and test chamber duty. For failing to please the Master, now you will please the guards. For sleeping on duty, 30 days confinement and 6 lashes morning and night. For bad taste in storytelling, confinement, and no food for a week. For contradicting the pronouncements of the Master, thou shalt remain in this hole till thy bones are dust. Yeah, this is the section I was trying to get to before. You can rope arrow down from the cafeteria, from a beam behind the cafeteria, or you can come down these stairs. there's some undead in this part, which might be the reason that Faustus had holy water. No, not that. Yeah, down there. There's no reason to go down there except to get some loot. But I guess I'll show it off. Oh, right. Another way to get down here is using is through a, one of those hatches near those machines being tested. I guess I'll go around to there. The Electrics 2. Imagine your loyal household and watch staffs resuming the work the very same day. With our variable power technology, information is extracted, not the life of your harmless servants and bodyguards. And of course, when evildoing is discovered, a simple setting change will end the threat forever. The Electrics 2, protecting the innocent, purging the guilty. Oh, yeah, this is the map. It's fairly primitive. No, there's nothing else. Just that crude sketch. There's what I'm after. That's one of the ways down to the cliffs. Another way is through those machines. Oh, whatever. I've wasted enough of time. Might as well use this way. Oh, wait. Now we're in the caves. Not much practical reason to come down here, except if you want some extra loot. There's a silver nugget. And now we're in a series of flooded caverns. Crastus. 1,000 apologies, but the Master himself was a witness to your flogging, and there was little I could do to limit the effect. You've been a good friend, and I do hope that you can still find your way to the cave exit, as I'm told it's possible. Certainly, you will only return into the bowels of the Enterprise should you emerge from the shaft, whence we now send you, or to kill. Apprentice Lictor. Now that I've shown that off enough messing around, time to get back up to the main building. There's the shaft from before. Path I was on just went back to the is just going to go back to the cave, so I'll go to that what I showed off just now. Climb up that shaft. Anyway. Back to the conference hall. Today's menu: smoked mutton and 1.666, roasted mutton 0.87, boiled mutton 0.62, cabbage 0.36, bread slice 0.42, fruit bowl 2.72, ale 1.48, ale and water 0.874, water 0.17. Those on the meal plan must present tokens prior to being served. Production overseers. With the recent voluntary resignations of Hastus and Remus, we are in need of 2 energetic production overseers for projects IM3 and Electrics 2. Candidates should possess both a mastery of the production arts and the ability to drive slaves to their utmost productive capacity. Semi-private room, 2 meal daily allotment, 1 week of absence allowance per year. Salary for each position is 26 gold per month. Apply either to Yolanda's Chief Alchemist Iron Maiden Division or Corbalus Chief Alchemist Electrics Division. Cooks. Needed 2 cooks. Must have 1 year of experience in basic butchery, boiling, roasting, and smoking techniques. Will occasionally peel vegetables, bake bread, and slice fruit when it is available. 1 free meal a day, not including fruit. Dorm bed provided, not shared. 17 a month. Apply to Unctius, Chief Cook. Wood framers. Must have strong back, good with axe and sledge, able to withstand unusual damp and mold. 2 meals a day. Free bed shared with 2 other men. 17.75 a month. Apply in person to Balboa's construction chief. Oh, right, this is what I wanted to show off before. Or this hatch here. Oh boy. Human Resources Procedure 7.1.1.4, revised by Cleanout Crew, disposalizing of dead testing volunteers. 1. If known to be a practicing hammer, observe a moment of silence, then gently release the corpse into its oblivion. Methinks they means keep all the pieces together. 2. If an apostate hammer didn't go to church no more, or if his status is unknown, don't know how tall he was, say a prayer for the clarity of his soul, then respectfully set the body into eternity. Blimey on me. Maybe it'd be that one of them cement jobs Josie tells me about. 3. If known to be of the mechanist perspiration, kill him for sure, then pitch him over the edge. All that wandering around just for that note, but I thought it was amusing. Luckily, I don't have to go very far to get back up there. Just lower this lift. This is one of those electric Iron Maiden things that they were testing. Seems like a poor decision, and for something using electricity, you'd have all this wood around it. But what do I know? Anyway, time to stop taffing around and get that mechanical eye. This has taken long enough. I'm sorry if I've taken this slow, but I really enjoy this mission. It has great atmosphere. Cut through the master's bedroom, and then back down the stairs to the conference hall. Alright.
What do we have here?
There's our eye. Mechanical eye.
Well done, Mr. Garrett. You have found your precious Hammerite eye. How unfortunate the events of tonight. The act of an overzealous servant, I might suppose. Perhaps having taken my words too literally. My daughter, Alicia, has always been a reliable resource and a useful tool in my service. Her abilities will be missed. Nevertheless, you are here, and now I wish to speak with you. Then afterwards you may take your leave. To make your decision, press the button beneath the flaming torch before you. Come to me, then consider my offer.
Garrett, tonight you have a choice. The same choice that I was given many years ago. Take the scroll and read it. And when you have made your decision, return here as the third Lord of the Enterprise. Or otherwise never, ever show your face again.
So that's the twist. Celestis chose Garrett to be his successor, not his daughter. Apparently she was fine with this. Apparently. But everyone else wasn't. They had her killed, tried to get the eye, and would most likely have gone after Garrett, too, for assassination. Anyway, let's take the scroll and look at it.
On this third day of the Owl Moon, in our 4th year under the reign of Forsythius the Just, I, Eustancilus Celestis, second Lord of the Enterprise, being of sound mind and will, do offer to transfer full ownership of the entity known as Celestis Industries, including any and all assets, patents, products, facilities, inventories, and rights under one Garrett of the Old Village, known to be a keeper of the Prophecies, thief, and heretic, but henceforth to be known only as the third Lord of the Enterprise, upon his agreement given in writing.
Sworn, witnessed, and recorded this day by Frantatius, Esquire and Chief Counsel of the Enterprise. Needless to say, Garrett, by leaving the Enterprise, pretty much tells Celestis where he can shove his offer. and finished.